Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, September 12th. I'm Jane Johnson with the Briar Hill Group. Welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Well, hello everyone. Andrew Plank here with the Vibe Real Estate Group. Good to be here.
How's it going?
Good. Yeah. Jen, how's it going?
Good.
Oh, sorry.
Jen Lowe here from DLC Modern Mortgage Group.
Excellent. Okay.
So, actually...
Jane, your hair looks fabulous.
I'm getting a cut today, but I wanted it to look nice for the show. Let's just talk actually a bit about what you were talking about before the show started, and that is that the difference of going to a bank versus a mortgage broker. I just wanted to just address the fact they are different. So when you're going to a bank, often people want to go to a bank because they feel that the bank is going to provide them with a history and they have all their data, which is not necessarily true. They're also usually only selling their own product. I have to admit, though, I've had excellent service with some banks and not others. Mm-hmm. But this past week, my seller had an offer on a property and the buyers are going to the bank and they're waiting 3 days for an appointment. Jen, do you want to address that?
I'd love to. Big difference is mortgage brokers like myself, we are licensed. We are required to do educational requirements each year. All I do is mortgages, and I've been doing this for over 12 years. And it always comes down to the numbers, and most transactions these days are not just a straight, easy transaction. So if someone's looking to port their existing mortgage, you want the numbers on what the blended rate's going to be. It can get complicated. So having the access and knowing, having someone experienced that knows what they're doing and will be able to provide you those numbers to make an informed decision.
Right. Quickly.
I think further to Jane's point, a lot of people think that the bank they have a relationship with their bank, so the bank will treat them better. But the bank really these days does not hold any value in that relationship. They may try to keep your business, but it's really about them meeting their KPIs or whatever, their numbers. Someone like Jen is a commission-based salesperson as well. And she's not just working banker's hours. There is a reason they call it banker's hours. And when real estate doesn't operate on banker's hours. So Jen gets things done. What the conversation beforehand was just that I had clients that had been working with a particular bank who wanted to keep their mortgage at a low rate. And Jen was able to do that for them. They thought they had to stick with their bank to get that service. But Jen was able to actually work with them and take it out of the hands of the person that had been not making things happen. And she made things happen. She took, from the jaws of defeat, she brought victory. My clients didn't think they were going to be able to do what they thought. So
right, exactly. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
More options, no bias, and no cost.
And
yeah. So, we are already way off.
Thank you, everybody.
Off topic. Exactly. We're already way off topic from our topic today.
Let's get started.
I'm glad it wasn't me that took us offline. Let's go. Yeah.
All right. So just so you know, there's like so many different show layout here. What is trial show? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just figure this out. The show. There we go. Okay. It's one of those days. Okay, today we're just going to be doing a market update. Then we're going to just talk about insurance. This topic came about because for me specifically this past week, I had a house that needed all these things doing. So let's just go through, first of all, the show. If you do like it, please, of course, give us a little heart. We love that. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Andrew and I each have our own channel. Comment if you have any questions. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to share to your friends that may be thinking of buying or selling. All right. So the last 7 days, Andrew, go ahead.
In the last 7 days, we had 444 new listings come onto the market, where compared to 244 properties went pending out of the pool of available properties. Talk about alliteration. There were 138 price decreases, 1 price increase for properties on the market, 127 transacted at lawyers' offices and notaries' offices, land title office more specifically, and 55 expired, 7 withdrawn. So pretty definitely that ratio is getting smaller. Jane, you want to talk about the week before?
Sure. So list to sale ratio the past week was 32%. The week before it was 34%. But the reason why we're seeing a difference in activity is because we are coming out of a long weekend. So price decreases, we're at 98. And that's just people getting ready to get on the market and maybe amend their price because they haven't had activity. And then, of course, we saw a lot of solds because we were at the end of the month and people are moving in. So trying to get in before the new year. Before the new school year. All right, for the past week, we had 493 net unconditional sales in September of 2023. We only had 111 to date so far for September 2024. Where are we at?
September 12th. So, yeah. So, I mean, round up halfway through the month and nowhere near the numbers so far that we would have seen that we saw last year.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jen.
Are you seeing lots of subject to sale offers?
Yeah. So what she's mentioning is when somebody is thinking of selling and they want to find a place before they sell their own place, they do a subject to sale. We can do this in a slower market.
Yeah, a lot of conversations with people about that lately.
So here's the thing is you can protect your buyer with specific clauses that aren't in the standard forms. And I highly recommend that you do that because you can be caught out, which is what's happening to one of my clients today. So you really want to make sure that you're protecting your client so that if an offer comes in on your own property, if you've written the subject to sale, that you can complete. All right.
Give an example of that, Jane. I just want to make sure we're clear on what you're talking about there.
It's where when if you get an offer on your place, you could write a clause in that the offer has a term in it that if an offer comes in on my property, yeah, that you give my client 7 days and you won't call the time clause.
Right. I see. Okay. So what you're doing is just adding some extra ornamentation to the subject to sale offer. And yeah, that's in support of the offer that was made on a property when you still need to sell yours.
And also, just so you know, on the mainland and Up Island, they do not have the clause that says that you have to wait for the second offer to go unconditional before you pull the time clause.
No, so yeah, we're getting into some definitely some weeds there, but you're right, and that's a common one here. But people still write those clauses independently, even though we have that clause that most is used. I'm still seeing our agents in our area using clauses that don't include that.
Yeah, you know why? Because they're not reading the form.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm in my head today. Jen, so last week we kind of got cut off. We've gone down how many basis points this year?
0.75. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the week later? What's the feedback on this?
Happening? So we're seeing with the reports that have come out of Canada and the US, we're seeing the bond yields, an effect on the bond yields, and fixed rates are down to as low as 4.39% for a 5-year fixed. A variable is down to prime minus 1.01, which is currently 5.44%. And the Canadian dollar as of this morning is up to 74 cents. So that's
Yay.
wonderful. Yeah, so the US inflation numbers were released yesterday. It was down to 2.5%. Their core inflation, unfortunately, was slightly higher, up to 0.3%. The difference, just so people are understanding the difference from inflation to core inflation, the core inflation piece does not include the energy and the food sectors. So, so given these numbers, I mean, the bond yields could continue to trend downwards, which means fixed rates could continue to drop. We'll see.
Okay. Hopefully they continue to drop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
this is a really good topic today.
Right. So essentially, Jen, have you ever had anybody try to complete without insurance?
I've had the few, or like one or two over many years of like, well, I needed to get insurance. And I was just like, oh my God. So it's a mad panic right before closing, but I've never had someone not be able to get insurance.
Okay.
More and more now, I'm making sure, as insurance has really tightened up as well, that before their subjects are removed, that they have confirmation that they can get insurance on the property.
Yeah, this is a really common example of, you don't know what you don't know, and why people sometimes get sort of surprised at the end of the day. And the reason why in our standard clauses for conditions, we include an insurance clause, which, I mean, you could argue you don't need it because you're not going to get financing without insurance, but it's there. So we realtors and our clients explicitly know that they're going to make sure that's taken care of. And it's in a lot of my communications to clients. I hammer them with that one because you can never get on that one too early.
So last week, my clients purchased a house, or a couple weeks ago, and it became apparent there was no heat.
Mm-hmm.
and they were moving from California, and they're moving in November. And I said, I think you need heat. So we had to do an amendment. I mean, okay, to be truthful, there was heat on the lower level, but there was no heat on the upper level, and the heat was from a fireplace that wasn't wet certified. They thought they had it wet certified, and anyway, so we had to get an inspector in there. We had to get somebody to look at the hot water tank because it had also expired. And so the issue with the hot water tank is if it expires and then you have a problem because it's expired, it's not covered by insurance in some cases. Yeah.
There's a lot of times where you actually have insurance for some things, but they exclude something else. But the main key takeaway here, the overarching reason for this, folks, is nobody wants to lend you money on something that's worth, $1 million plus or minus, whatever it's worth, only to have a fire destroy it the next day. And now they're never getting their investment back, their loan. So it's really important to have insurance, full spectrum insurance coverage, so that the lender is satisfied. And you've got to keep it on there. If a lender found out that you were sitting there not paying your insurance, actually, that's a question for Jen, and I don't know if you know this, but what happens if someone says, yeah, I've got insurance, they get their loan, from the bank, from their lender, complete on the property, and then they cancel the insurance the next month. Who knows? And how do they know?
Most lenders require confirmation of insurance at renewal.
Right.
So potentially they could, if they canceled it the day after they got the mortgage, and they took a 5-year term, the lender wouldn't know until the end of that 5-year term. But quite often there is a requirement to provide updated insurance information.
It just occurred to me too. I think with our insurance now, we're a Stratus duplex, so it may be a little different. But our lender is required to be a payable, like a payee on, like an insured party on our insurance policy.
Yes.
And that may be a way for them to track that as well.
The other thing is, when you have insurance in a place like yours, Andrew, is one strategy is to have the same insurer for both the building and the contents, so that if there's a claim because you're going to have insurance on the outside to halfway through the wall, and insurance on the inside to the contents. So you want to make sure that you have coverage going over.
Yeah, it sometimes it's hard because some of those are commercial policies, and it can be hard to find a policy for that. But that's another piece that Jane and I both recommend to our clients. You know, if you can, line those things up so you don't have two insurance companies fighting over that. The other one that I also suggest people do is, if you're buying off a single family home, find out who the insurer is with the sellers, because say a fire starts at 11 p.m. on the day before closing and starts to do damage over a time period where it straddles the ownership of the property and the responsibility of insurance. You don't have two insurance companies fighting over who's responsible to do the repair if you choose the same insurance company.
Right, exactly. And the other thing I noticed, that all those terms that I was referring to here, they're all to do with fire and water. Yeah. And so you have to also look at your deductibles to see what the damage is if you have a flood, if you have a backed up sewer. All these things have to be checked. One of my clients actually required, during her inspection, she wanted the outflow inspected. And I'm like, it's only a 10-year home. It's not going to be a big deal. But sure enough, there were roots growing, and it was kind of scary. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had to root our outflow over and over again since we bought 4 years ago. And probably need to get that line replaced at some point, to the tune of, possibly $15,000, $20,000. It's not a small amount of money. I've also had people buy homes where their inlet, the water coming in is not enough. It's an old pipe. The pressure's lower, and I had one person just before or just after they completed, pipe burst underground, built up a bunch of water against the home, came into the home, and the whole basement was flooded. He had a record collection. All of his record covers were. It was a lot of damage, and it's too bad. But it's one of those things that's a hard thing to check for. But it's really important that you do that insurance covers these things.
Yeah. So when we are going through property, we're looking at the age of the house, and the age of the house will tell us what the common issues are, and we just know that from experience and a bit of wisdom.
Yeah.
So like
for poly B, or old wiring, small breaker panel. If it's under 100 amps, that's often a problem. Oil tanks inside the house.
Oil tanks inside the ground, vermiculite in the attic.
Yeah.
Knob and tube.
Yeah. So many things.
I'm going to ask a silly question, because I know it's always important to ensure that the fireplace is wet certified. But what does it mean, being wet certified?
It's a really funny word, isn't it? When you talk about
it's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
It's wood energy technology technician, and they have it. They certify it. They look at the dimensions of the fireplace. They look to see if there's a liner going up from the fireplace to the top of the chimney, and they also look to see what the clearances are And also in front, it has to be 18 inches so that if you have a spark, it won't cause a fire. And actually, we did have our place wet certified, but we had a log roll out onto our carpet. And I remember sitting in the living room thinking, something smells funny.
Oh,
Burning carpet, ew. Yeah. No, I mean, just because something's certified as safe doesn't count for all possible situations. But you know, a wet certified technician is a chimney sweep with a lot of with modern training and understanding of what's required. It's not just about, and you have to have the right fireplace. You can't. There's certain fireplaces that just are not certifiable.
Right. And so an original fireplace, like the one I have right here, which is a heatilator, they call it. So it has a fan, the air comes in here and it goes out on the top up there. That's not wet certified because it's it won't even get hot enough, actually.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's usually wood stoves that they're more concerned about. But anyway, the whole point is that again, going back to this, you're not going to get your money at completion unless you have proof of insurance, and you're not going to get insurance unless you have and insurance companies today are asking so many detailed questions. So it's really important to get those questions answered as soon as possible. And if you can't satisfactorily answer those questions, you may get they might still provide you insurance, but it might be a higher fee, higher deductibles for certain things or certain exclusions. So you really want to get on that early. I'm a big fan now of asking, even just after an offer is accepted, some of the questions that are often asked. So of the other agent, if I'm a buyer's representative, hey, what can you tell us about these different things that we know the insurance company is going to be asking, so we can get that right away to our buyer clients.
The other thing is what was I going to say? Recently, one of the big issues has been the fires in East Souk and Souk, and so they have. If you're within, I think 25 kilometers or something like that, there is a distance. They won't insure because you're so close to the proximity of the fire.
So the subtle, yep, Jen.
Just to add to that, yeah, I did. I actually had a client that was within 10 kilometers, and I'm very thankful. Actually, I work in through DLC Modern Mortgage Group, so there's a number of us mortgage brokers, and there was another broker in my office that had a client actually in Oak Bay that also was unable to get insurance. And in chatting, we discovered that BCAA was able and willing to insure properties with the fire current status at the time as out of control.
Yeah. Oak Bay might have been far enough away. And I mean, it's one of those things that you shake your head going like, a wildfire in Souk is not going to be getting to Oak Bay. But, but policies and systems, whatever it is, it's going to be black and white quite often for those insurance companies.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key points with insurance, guys, is you can go and get a quote, and that's not proof of insurance. But once an insurance company is bound to you and they have said, yes, we will provide and are providing you insurance, they have the obligation still to cover, even if a wildfire suddenly sort of sweeps through the area. So it's the key point is that getting quotes and ensuring you can get insurance is one thing. Actually getting bound for insurance and having that insurance lined up and the insurance company saying, yes, we will provide. Once they've done that, they are bound to provide that insurance. They can't jump out of it just because suddenly there's a risk they hadn't anticipated. That's the whole point of insurance, right?
Yeah. And you have to let them know who your lawyer is so they can send the lawyer the information for completion. So.
Right.
All right, you guys. I have to get on with my day. I love these shows when they're like very efficient.
That was a good one today.
It was a good one today. All right, so let's tell everybody.
Pat everybody's backs here. Pat your back. Pat your back. Good job. Good show, guys.
Let's tell everybody who you are and what you do. Andrew, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Plank, and I do all kinds of things, but most of the time I'm running around in my car showing properties, helping people to market their homes. I am the realtor. And you can reach me at 250-360-6106. And my email is info@andrewplank.com. And you can book an appointment with me at andrewplank.com.
Awesome. Jen.
I am Jen Lowe, a mortgage broker with DLC Modern Mortgage Group. DLC stands for Dominion Lending. My phone number, 250-217-4925. And email is jen@jenlowe.ca.
Awesome. And my name is Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. This is me playing with all the graphics and behind the scene. You can visit me on my website, briarhillgroup.com. And if you want, we are revamping our website to victoriarealestateshow.com. And that's in process. In the meantime, follow me on Instagram at realtyteacher_remax_Victoria or at Briar Hill Group. All right, you guys, have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday. I'm going to actually be away in Toronto, so I don't know if I'm going to be participating, but I'll help you set it up. All righty?
Okay. All righty.
Good.
Thanks, everybody.
Good week.
See you guys next week, and hopefully see you next week, Jane. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye-bye.